Success as a real estate agent. Let's do a little bit more reading here. Welcome back. Okay, presenting a buyer's low offer. When you extend an offer that is under the asking price, be prepared to present offsetting benefits in an effort to make the offer attractive and valuable to the sellers. Alternate redeeming qualities include solid earnest money, buyers with impeccable credit, buyers with good solid employment history, buyers with ample funds and a low loan to value ratio, buyers with the flexibility to close quickly or to wait as long as 90 days, an explanation of how the buyers arrived at their offer price, show current comps to validate their thinking. Perhaps the property was listed months ago and the market environment has changed considerably in the meantime. Presenting a current market analysis can help justify and win acceptance of the offer. If appropriate, an explanation that the buyers have another home in mind, saying something like they wanted to try to work with you first. If the offer is the highest one, the buyers can make a statement of that fact, saying something like the buyers would really love the home, but they understand if there isn't an opportunity for a win for everyone. This kind of statement diffuses emotions before they arise. Above all, when presenting a low price, convey that the offer is based on realistic assessment of the market environment or the buyer's capability, not a personal reaction to the sellers or their home. Receiving a buyer's low offer. If you did your job way back at the conclusion of the listing presentation, your sellers will be well aware of the likelihood of a low offer when one comes in. Here's what to do. Tell the buyer's agent to learn more about the buyers. Ask whether they have the funds to close, whether they've selected a lending institution, and where they are with regards to securing a loan. Learn whether they're just starting and they haven't even met with a lender yet, or if they have loan approval and are just working to find the right house. Probing for the length of time they have been searching gives you some insider information. If they've been searching for some time, they are either very selective, they missed out on a few properties, or yours is just the right home. Try to determine from the other agent which of these might be in the case. If the buyers have already initiated the loan process, ask the agent what loan amount the buyers have been approved for. You may learn that the buyers can obtain a loan higher than the amount shown on their offer contract. This alerts you to the fact that they're qualified to pay more but are choosing not to. Your job then is to demonstrate that the home has a higher value than the price offered. If you learn that the buyers have been approved for exactly the loan amount listed on the contract, ask if this is the maximum they qualified for. If they qualify for more, you want to know that fact. If the agent can't or won't provide the loan answers you need, try presenting the same questions to mortgage originators the buyers are working with. Elsewhere in this chapter, I give advice for working with lending instructions and other partners in the transaction. Taking the insult out of an insulting offer. When you're representing the sellers in a transaction, the first step towards taking the sting out of a low offer is assuring your clients that the offer is financial, not personal. Most likely, the prospective buyers don't know your sellers or seller's family. They may not even know the rationale behind the number they presented. They may have relied on your poor counsel, too much counsel, or an unskilled agent, in which case a well-presented counteroffer is in order. On the flip side, the seller's house may be overpriced, either because the sellers insisted on a high price or because the market environment changed between when the home was listed and when the offer arrived. If a home is radically overpriced, a fair offer can look insulting when it really isn't. If your seller's home is overpriced, you must get them to focus on the gap between the low offer and the fair market value, not the difference between fair market value and their inflated listing price. Likely you'll remove tens of thousands of dollars of insult through this calculation alone. If that doesn't work, ask the cooperating agent to share the burden by getting them to write an explanation of the rational behind their offer. A good agent won't write an insulting offer. I was asked many times to write ridiculously low offers. I consistently refused to represent those, saying they were equivalent to fishing expectations. Our client chastised me, saying I was required by law to write whatever she wanted to offer. I corrected her misinterpretation of my responsibility. Agents are required by law in most states to represent all offers they write. But nothing forces agents to write garbage that is embarrassing, to present wasteful of their time and costly to their reputations. Getting beyond emotion. People get emotional during the closing for a number of reasons. For one thing, a lot of money is at stake. For another, both parties are anxious to get the deal done, and time is ticking away. Third, home inspections and low price offers reveal opinions about a home's value that can feel jarring to sellers who have viewed the home with pride and joy for a number of years. The only antidote to an emotional uprising is a pragmatic focus on the goals the parties are trying to achieve and a renewed commitment to finding common ground and getting the deal done. A number of years ago, my father sold the family home I grew up in. My mother had died 6 months earlier, and he wanted to start a new life. Fortunately, I didn't represent him in the sale, but he did call to discuss an offer he'd received. I took this call one night, and he talked for 45 minutes while I was driving through mountain passes on my way to a speaking engagement in Vail, Colorado. He was such a typical seller. His big issue was the sale price. I asked him the question I often pose to get to the core of what's affecting a negotiation. Dad, is the reason you want this price for the house based on your ego, or do you really need the money? There was silence on the other end of the phone. Of course, I knew he didn't need the $20,000 he was so emotional about. I realized this was bold, but it was the right thing to say in the situation. As you advance your career, sometimes you will find that a seller's or buyer's ego is driving their decisions, not the money and certainly not logic. From that point, he was able to find common ground with the buyers and get the home sold. When you hit a buyer-seller impasse, find a way to ask. Is this about ego or income? Do they want the bragging rights that come with a high price, or do they need the money? Usually you'll bring your client back down to earth in a harmony. You're asking, in essence, what are you really fighting for? Turning concessions into victories. Buyers' offers are usually accompanied by home inspection conditions that require sellers to make concessions before the deal is closed. Usually these concessions take the form of repairs that the sellers need to make before the buyers take possession. The representation of repair concessions is one of the toughest steps in the negotiation process. Buyers often use the home inspection step to wring a bit more value out of their offer. Sellers who feel they already gave at the office when they accepted the price offer aren't in the mood to give more. No matter whether you're representing the buyers or sellers, bring the focus down to the value of the request by itemizing the concessions and assigning value in terms of dollars, hassle factor, and time invested. You can maneuver a transaction to the end. Follow these steps. Before I get into detail, we're going to take a little break. Thank you so much for joining me for Reading with Real Estate. See you later.